Welcome, everyone, to episode 251 of the Center Ring Esports Podcast presented by Alt. We have a doozy for you. If you thought sexual assault in esports was done, think again, because the TCR curse has officially caught up to Evo. We got Smash Bros, Smashin' Bros, and a loaded e-news to get to. But before we do that, I gotta tell you about Alt, because if you are hurting for a wardrobe look, which, look, I know we all are. I know we all think we look cool, but I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, could I be better looking? And the answer is always yes. And how do you do that? You go to altesports.com, at Ultimate on Twitter, and you pick yourself up some clothes. They have Overwatch Doodle, which I still think you can pre-order. They just released a bunch of things for the Call of Duty League. They have some things coming up with some orgs that I can't mention just yet, but they look fresh, so trust me on that one. And you can even pick up our very own line with them with the 101 Burglars lineup. Get yourself a hoodie now, because you never know. Winter could be right around the corner, and you can never have too many hoodies. So do that. altesports.com. Tell them TCR sent you.
This is TSM0 and you're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 251, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, July 5th, 2020. Hope everyone had a good 4th. Hope it was safe. And the time is 8:42 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter if you're not doing so already, at The Center Ring. Our website, tcr.gg, has links to everything else you need to know, like YouTube, Discord. Be sure you're a part of that conversation, and everything else. iTunes, if you're listening on iTunes, go ahead and leave a review. We do read them. We do appreciate it. The nicer, the better, but, be honest with yourself. We don't need free handouts here. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. He's my dad friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Dude, I usually 4th of July is my favorite holiday to celebrate, but was it not? It was a weird one this year. It was not didn't hold par compared to previous years, obviously.
For multiple reasons. A, you have a kid now, so your night ends around 7.
Yeah, wife's already in bed with the kid right now.
Yeah, so there's that. Because we thought the same thing. We were you couldn't pay me to wake up my kid to go look at a firework. He'll see him next year.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. So there's that. We
couldn't go out because of COVID, right? So you're not going out in any public space.
Yep. And then, I was also glued to my phone the entire day, reading sexual assault articles the entire weekend, which that doesn't really get you into a festive mood.
That's a celebratory mood.
Yeah, that doesn't get you right as you want to celebrate your nation's freedom and be like, oh, look, another pedophile in the Smash scene. Huh. Happy 4th of July, everyone. So that doesn't mean it wasn't stellar, and I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend, an extended weekend for those of you who are working. So appreciate it for you sticking by with us, because once again, not the happiest of weeks when it comes to esports. I'm going to be real with the listeners here, Nuge. Not the happiest of weeks. It was an ups and downs, right? After it, I say weeks. It feels like it's been weeks since our last episode with all the news that broke. And it's only been a couple of days.
We've basically seen a whole gaming community after we did a lovely documentary review. I felt like on what was one of the best documentaries I'd seen, right? The Smash Brothers, and it was a lot of fun to do that and watch it, and then to see all of this, it's like wow, that community just killed itself off essentially.
Now, and I'm sure with, obviously news is changing every single day. It does look like it's more of the ultimate side. It seems like it's more of the new school kids and not so much the melee crowd. So maybe we'll give them that. Maybe that's just me with my melee glasses on. Like, I just want those guys to be good. I don't want them to be pedophiles and shit like that. But that's what gets me, right? Is we finished the show last episode. And it wasn't really, I mean, there it was more so just kind of still talking about the sexual assaults around like Counter-Strike and things like that. And like we said, like, what did we say, like with Doc, right? Is, look, sexual assault is sexual assault. You never want to see it. You never do. But if in this world there's going to be bad things, so if you have to pick one, like, make it to where it's of age and it's just, whatever. I don't want to see pedophiles. Like, that's where I get like emotional. It's where I'll get upset, and it's not really fun to talk about. And lo and behold, the FGC was like, "Hold my controller, watch this," and it's like you saw one story, Anuj, and you're like, "Shit, that's bad," and then like another one came out, and you're like, "Ooh, that's actually worse." Like, I don't understand.
Like, we've gone from words to action all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like words are bad enough.
Well, and it wasn't even like you saw one thing and you're like, okay. And then it was like everyone would tweet like, oh, well, this person knew about it. That person knew about it. It's like everyone in the Smash scene and the fighting game scene kind of loosely knew all of this was going on the whole time. But, for whatever reason, never said anything or never felt like they were in the position to, or they felt like it should have been handled behind closed doors, which I'll say this, okay, because I've seen some people tweet out about it. Like, Richard Lewis is like, this is like, he's loving this in the sense of he can finally take shots back at the FGC for how they treated him with E-League, which was awful. Like, we've talked about on the show before, the way the FGC responds to outsiders coming in is like the worst. I mean, hell, we've even seen it trying to get into some of these fighting game events where they're like, no, like, you guys aren't exclusively talking about fighting esports, so we can't have you in the FGC event. Looking at you. I
don't feel as bad about Evo not feeling like we were worthy to be part of that crowd.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a reason.
Yeah, no,
Maybe there was a reason.
Yeah, so there's that. And this is not, though, in my opinion, even though this episode is pretty much going to solely be focusing on the FGC, I don't think this is an FGC issue. I don't think it's a Smash Brothers community issue. I just think this is an issue. Like, I think it's something that got out of hand in a group of people.
The numbers are a little bit more staggering. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, upwards to 50 people involved and counting, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, it feels like it could just potentially be the start, and, I feel like more stories and victims will come forward, but it feels a little bit more prominent to me in the community of FGC at the moment compared to all the others. Like, it's been spread out everywhere else, like when it comes to streamers, but streamers are not, like, they're their own community, right? Like, the big name streamers. So I guess you could say that community is also flawed in my eyes, but that's not as surprising just based on like the personalities and all that kind of take place. FGC is kind of known to be like a little bit more like socially awkward and
we've said it on the show. Like, I don't think you have to beat around the bush, especially this time. I feel like if you got your shots, shoot them, right? The FGC is weird. And before, that was always kind of, I've said that as like a compliment. right? Like almost like, hey, take it as a compliment. Like, you guys are weird. You really love your anime. You like your furries, your neckos, whatever. I get it. I don't get it, but it's your thing and whatever, right? You guys are happy with it. You're weird, but it's okay.
But it's you. It's like that's who they are,
Yeah, right, exactly. That's who they were. They were a different side of esports. And now it's kind of like, oh, no, now it's weird. It's like the tone on that's a tad different with me now, to where it's like, okay,
it's creepy.
It's yes.
It went from weird to like it's full of a bunch of creeps,
Yeah.
And again, it's not everybody, so it's not a blanket statement that we're talking about here. It's just the fact that there were so many players accused, so many big name players accused. You saw people like in the Nairo situation in particular, like you saw people like telling them to do it. Like the conversation that was leaked, the person had blurred out the name, but they were able to figure out who it was. And I'm drawing a blank on that now. But they were like instigating them and like almost saying like, yeah, this is how it is. Like, this is okay, And so, a lot of people knew about what was going on behind the scenes. Hell, like, these events are significantly smaller. These people are always together when they're going to them. Some of these events are like home style events still, and so it just leaves a really bad taste in your mouth because of not only the high volume of people, it's the people that are involved. They're high profile individuals. And then I think the fact that it seems like a lot of the community knew it was happening and weren't trying to stop it or weren't helping out. And so that's where it's a little different than some of these other accusations, I feel like I've seen come from other esports. It's like a one-off, it almost feels like in those scenarios. That dude was a shitty dude. He was a bad guy. I feel like a lot of people are involved in this and they're all part of the same group.
I think it also shows a lot of still, even with half these stories, and we'll go through some of them, because right now I kind of want to just focus on the Smash Brothers side of it and then get onto the Evo discussion, because that's an incredible feat that they have achieved to somehow completely fall off their pedestal. But with the Smash Brothers side, even now, when you have these accusations of people showing proof, the guilty party admitting to this shit, right? They are admitting to it. You are still having like these simp fanboys going to these guys' defense saying like, hey man, we forgive you, or, hey, they were 14, they should have known better, right? They instigated it for you. We support you, don't worry about it. And like, I am at a loss for words when it comes to that. The only thing I can assume is, again, going back to the weird factor with the FGC side, that these people are loners, right? Like, they are just socially awkward and they don't understand like right from wrong and why some of the laws are the way they are. Like, I don't think they understand it.
I see. To me, that's a little different because, like, I think, unfortunately, that's with almost any popular individual. If they do something wrong, there is a dedicated group out there to always support you. Like, always, regardless. We've seen it in any instance, right? Like, whether it's
but support
somebody's
and not believing, I think, are two different things, right? Like, I've seen it like in Counter-Strike, like for example, like the Henry G thing, right? Before he was like kind of proven himself as innocent, you had people still support him. And I don't think that's completely wrong, because I think in a society of forgiveness and things like that, you can still have support while being guilty, just because you're going to have loved ones and shit like that. But it's like the blind faith where it's just like, hey, you aren't guilty here. And they're like, no, I did it. No, you did.
You're fine. You're better now.
But you're better for it. It was their fault that you decided to blackmail them.
It's just like people being idiots. I mean, it's the easiest way to put it. Like, I don't tie that part directly to them. I just think like some people are just so overly loyal they run around with blinders on, right? I mean, and you can say that in any aspect. Look at politics, right? We don't talk politics on the show, but like Trump can almost do whatever he wants, and there's still going to be a loyal following. And that's the same thing with liberals as well, right?
Yeah.
It's not like people will follow their parties blindly in politics, regardless of what they're doing is right or wrong. You see it in like, in churches sometimes, right? Like some of the mega churches that are maybe not properly throwing out the gospel the way it should be, and it's more about finances than it is something else, but they have blind followers. And so that comes in almost any aspect of life. And so again, that's why I don't really like tie it directly to the Smash community, but it's always disgusting to see it. Like, it's like, dude, how do you not understand the magnitude? I just don't think they understand the magnitude of these. Like, these are criminal acts, right? This
Yeah,
is
for
not
like some of
somebody
these, they're
making
not coming back from.
Yeah, this is not like somebody just making a mistake and they sent a nasty text message, right? Or they, different depending on what you send, but sent a nasty text message or something.
Yeah,
Like
there's
these are criminal acts that they're
yeah,
doing.
there's a difference of, and again, this is where I said like sexual assault is sexual assault. I get that. Okay, we're having an adult conversation right now. I understand misunderstandings that can be skewed as sexual assault. I get that there are misunderstandings, there's bad judgment calls, and then there's just straight up illegal things. Like, there is no misunderstanding here. Like, when I look at like the first one that I saw this weekend that kind of kickstarted this whole thing on the Smash side was the Puppa, where he came out for Senpai. Now, this one, for those at home keeping score, I think was the biggest age gap that we saw, where at the time, Puppa was, if I'm saying his name right, I think it's Puppa. That's how I've always said it.
You said it with confidence, so take it.
That's how I'm going to roll with it. Is at the time, back in 2016, he was 14 years old, and she was going on 25. Like, she was like I think a couple weeks or a month away from being 25. 11 years difference? Like, there is no, and she
like
hasn't
11
said,
years is different when you're 25 and 36.
and she hasn't said
But
anything about it. Like, he was a 14-year-old boy. She was 25. Like, there is no blurry lines there. Like, that's
sex with a minor. Like,
yes.
It's a crime that you have committed at that point, right? And so it's like, yeah, that kind of kickstarted it, because that really was one of the biggest ones. I think that happened like on Wednesday or something, and it really just
I think that
triggered.
actually like broke while we were recording on Wednesday night, because I saw it Thursday morning. So
yeah, so like I mean, that like really kind of opened up the floodgates. One that really bothered me, Tim, more so is because I watch his like content, and so that always kills me even more to know that I was like watching and supporting even from afar. Zero, like a Zero situation is terrible. It's not rape, thankfully, or something of that sense, right? But he was soliciting, sexual content from an underage minor, which I believe he knew was underage. If I read the story right, like he knew they were underage.
which story? He wrote a trilogy, so
not his. Yeah, so that's the thing. He did. Yeah, he really wrote a trilogy. And what Tim's referring to is Zero made a twit longer explaining the original accusation that was made against him, denying it. And I thought did a fairly good job of like kind of navigating his way. Very detailed, very long. If you've read it, it's there. You can go to his Twitter. It's still up. Then another accusation is made. Somebody else kind of steps into the fray and says something else. And he kind of navigates his way through it. Again, really elaborate story, like really like heading his way to Mordor, like giving us step-by-step breakdown, And
gave us like a whole epilogue on his life story as well with his second one. And I'm like, where is this going right now, Zero? Like I
was like, man, you're just wanting to write right now.
You have lost me. I don't know what you're talking about.
And then finally, in his final act, we saw the truth, and he came clean and admitted to several of the accusations that were made to him, and it's like gonna destroy him. Like his career is over. He's been dropped by Tempo Storm already. which, by the way, let's get into their statement in a second because I really like what they did there.
Yeah.
But dropped by Tempo Storm. I mean, his fan base, he's also one of the ones that I saw a lot of those blind followers that
Yep.
you were talking about,
Yep.
like a ton
And he's
in his
also another
comments.
weirdo. Like when I talked to him at DreamHack, where we got his liner. First off, I've always thought he was weird. Like I'll just say that right now. He is one of these socially awkward Smash players, and he goes into great detail on why it is a terribly sad story about how his father had an affair and like had sex with the woman right in front of him, and then beat the shit out of his mom, and they went to the cops, and the cops laughed at him, and then they had to run away from him. It is incredibly sad. Where that falls into, like, how you get from that to showing underage women pornography, I don't know. We've all had some things happen to us in the past that I guess you could say is sad. I've never once thought that would lead to, going after minors.
Like in most instances, you hope that those tragedies lead to like success stories, right? And you always are hoping for the person to get stronger from those incidents and learn from them, and really like unfortunately have to grow up a little bit quicker at times. For him, like that story would to me was just to gain sympathy, right? To get that sympathy vote before you came clean, right? So now you've told everybody this sad story about you, and then when you come clean, granted, he knew his career was done. Like you could tell in his final post that like this is kind of the end, and he said he's going to be taking a step back. Well, I don't think it's going to be his decision to take a step back. Like people are, again, you're going to lose 90% of your fan base. You'll have that small portion that you see on Twitter that's very vocal, but
would it have made a difference in your eyes if he would have came clean originally? But the fact that it took him 2 tweet longers before saying like, no, this wasn't me, I don't know what she's talking about, to now like
it wouldn't have made a difference in the sense of Tim like, oh, I would have forgiven him. There would have been maybe the slightest amount of respect for coming clean initially. Like, okay, at least you manned up to it, but hey, this is like an inexcusable act. So I'm still not going to sit here and be like, you're a good person. I think all it did was make it worse. If anything, right? It was still going to be bad in my eyes regardless. But what you've made bad, you've taken it to like, dude, now you just like lying through your teeth, trying to save your ass, trying to save your sponsorships, trying to save your spot on the team, and then you finally came clean. And so, look, I'm glad that his conscience got the better of him, and he did come clean ultimately, but it wasn't going to be any better in my eyes had he came clean the first time around. He might have not had that second accusation had he come clean the first time around, right?
Okay, the funny thing is he would never have had the first accusation if he just never opened his mouth. That's the crazy thing. Well, maybe, I guess I can't, it's all what ifs, but the only reason the person that he, illicitly showed sexual pictures to and everything, being underage, whatnot, was because he made just a random twit longer talking about his opinions on everyone getting busted and the community as a whole. And then that person, retweeted him saying, pump the brakes there, bud. You did it to me. And then it was like, oh shit. So
it's like put the blinders on and forgot about that happened.
Yeah.
Like it almost like it caught him off guard. Like, oh yeah.
So you mentioned though Tempo Storm, his organization. They did drop him, especially once he came clean. They did drop him, and then they had. I'll let you kind of take the statement.
Yeah, so I'm not going to read the statement verbatim, but I'll tell you what I liked about their statement. There was 2 things that I liked. A, they showed support to the victims, right? If any of the victims wanted to reach out, they were willing to provide them, like, whether it was speaking to somebody, doctor, whatever it may be, they opened up their arms to the victim, right? It wasn't just, hey, we're dropping this player and moving on. The second thing that they did is they also provided that same opportunity for Zero. Although that they dropped him and he's no longer part of the organization, they said that if you need professional help, we will take care of you in that regard still. And to me, that's a big move by an org, because it's really easy to just drop, move on, forget, like erase that part of your legacy. and don't look back, right? But they offered support on both sides, and so for me, that's like a respect move from them because I haven't really seen other orgs step up in that way. They're not obligated to, but they took the extra step to do that, and it was for multiple people, and so just two
Yeah.
thumbs up for Tempo and how they handled that.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, it's possible to still show support, but not support, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're supporting him, but they don't support him. If that makes sense, there's a difference in my brain.
They want to get him help. The thing
Yeah.
is, they probably know Zero really well, right? He's a member of the organization. There are probably also a lot of people out there that know Zero really well, but that don't know about this side of him, and they understand that there's probably good in him. I don't think that this means he is 100% an evil person and everything he did to show was fake. Like like I said, I've watched a lot of his content, and he seems to want to be a very helpful person when it comes to sharing his knowledge of the game, right? And helping people out. Like he quit competing to make YouTube videos, basically. And so, I'm glad that even though he did a really shitty, scummy, and illegal thing, there may be a small amount of good in him that they saw, and they want to see if they can make that whole, maybe, right? And if they can help him and help him achieve that and become a better person moving forward, so there are no other victims and he understands what he did. I think that's a good thing. Like ultimately, you want to rehabilitate. Like, what are you going to do? Throw these guys in cells for the next 100 years? Like, that's not going to happen either. He's going to be a member of society, and so if you can help them, I think that's a good thing. So, at least for me, again, that's the class act the way they handled it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. You don't see it very often. It's cool to see an organization kind of take ownership in it all too, especially because at the time, I mean, he wasn't part of Tempo Storm when all this happened. So, like, if they really wanted to back away, they could. They have no ties to the situation at all. But cool nonetheless. The other big one here was when Captain Zach came clean about Nero. Now, this one, I can't even believe I'm saying this right now, caused controversy amongst the community because you honestly had some people here trying to victim shame Captain Zach in this situation. So this was, I guess, probably 3 years ago when Captain Zach was 14 years old at the time. Nero was 20. Okay, I don't know the exact details as far as I didn't write them down, but I mean they're out there. You can look it up. In short, Captain Zach went into Nero's hotel room. It was supposedly, correct me if I'm wrong here, Nooch, initiated sexual acts. Long story short, they did it and saw each other for some time. Again, Zero even mentioned it in one of his twit longers. Like, he asked Nero about it, and Nero was like, no, I'm just trying to make him better, nothing going on. So people kind of knew things were going on in the background. Look, I don't care if Captain Zach initiated any of it. He's 14 years old. The reason there's statutory rape and laws preventing this is because, no shit, a 14-year-old is going to initiate sex. 14-year-old, you're at like the peak of being horny all the time. So of course you're going to approach someone. It is the 20-year-old's responsibility to recognize the situation and be like, get the fuck out of my hotel room. Like, me and Anuj are adults here. We've lived a lifetime of going through teenagers and 20s and whatnot. I could tell you, Anuj, it's not that hard to not have sex with a 14-year-old. I've never been in a situation where I could, but that's probably issue number one.
Yeah, I mean, like, this was terrible because people see, I mean, Captain Zach's still part of the community, right? So it's like he's still around. So people see this Captain Zach. Go look at what this kid looked like when he was 14 years old. Like, there's people had posted pictures out there of what he looked like as a 14-year-old. And he was a baby, dude. Like, the kid looked like a genuine, like, I mean, I was like so it was so upsetting to see that because it made
Sometimes
it.
you have like 14 going on 18. That does
Yeah,
happen for some
this
people.
was like not the case. Like it was 14 going on 11. Like he was like a late bloomer, right? For in terms of how he grew. And so this was the one where the chat logs came out and Captain Zach was being like or yeah, Captain Zach was like being like kind of even egged on by one of what was the dude's name? It was the guy that like reverse swept Nairo or whatever he pronounced his name, in that tournament that all of this kind of came out at. But anyways, like it was just it's a devastating one because again, it's like this was going on for some time. This wasn't even a one time instance. I think a lot of people were aware of what was happening here. Um, it's not like, one person knows, you know how that works, right? Like it spreads like wildfire. Like
Yeah.
people know about this shit. And so it's just another disgusting one. And it's one of those where we got a lot of detail and we know exactly what happened and it's not an accusation anymore. It's an act. It happened and we know that. And so that's a tough pill to swallow. And good to see that Captain Zach looks like he's also come through this being like a functional adult. Like this can mess people up. Like it really can like mess people up. And so glad to see that he's doing okay more than anything. But yeah, Nairo is done. Like again, another one.
NRG dropped
These
him.
guys, yeah, these guys are just poof. This is like the Thanos snap for a lot of these guys.
And this is where I'm talking. And like, it is laughable when you see some of these guys. Now, Senpai hasn't said shit. She hasn't even done like I've never seen so many my story, my responses tweeted out so much. I'm surprised it's not trending right now. But she never even did like a my response or my side of the story. Like she is just admitting, like, yeah, she's probably already arrested at this point.
She probably can't tweet from jail.
But like that's where Nairo's going. Like he's like this is one where if I don't know how the legal side of it works, but if Captain Zach wanted to, look, that's statutory rape. The laws are very clear. And this isn't one of those, well, I'm 18, she's 17 situation, right? No, this was a clear, like, the law is there to protect the young, regardless of if they're initiating it, if it's their idea or whatnot. It's supposed to be you as the adult to be smart enough to being like, no. It's really, like, over the last 4 days, it almost seems, Anuj, that we're the weird ones for not having sexually assaulted anyone in our lifetime. Like, I feel like I'm in the minority here where it was like, hold up. Like, you mean I'm like
all of you did this?
Yeah.
Like every single one of you did this?
It's ridiculous. I do have a piece of audio here from Captain Zach. He went on stream a couple days ago to kind of address things. So I want to just play this. And then you tell me if this is a kid that necessarily initiated it.
Because I was forced to tell a lie for like 3 years. And other people are like, it's your fault for accepting the money. Like, what was I supposed to do? I was offered it. I just didn't, I felt so trapped. And that's why when I finally did like say everything, it just felt so relieving because I felt like so trapped having to lie for so long.
So again, point in case, you can be 14 and at the time want to have sex with someone and initiate it. But then like when you're older, you're like, holy shit, that wasn't right. Like that was not how I wanted that situation to go.
It's like, oh, wait a minute. This wasn't a normal like interaction that I had.
Right.
And you don't realize that at the time. And that's the problem with being a kid is like, yeah, you may know right from wrong, but you don't know how to handle every situation. Like situations are, you learn from them as you grow and you're experiencing that for the first time, maybe as first, sexual experience as well. So the whole thing just like makes you cringe thinking about what this poor kid had to deal with. And then they offered him money and tried to hush him up like he had mentioned there. And so it's just like I can't imagine putting the blame on him. You
No,
know, for somebody to like sit
you
there and put
did.
the blame on him is like disgusting.
Like he's gotten so much like trash thrown at him on social media because of this, and it's just unbelievable. Now, I'm sure for every one tweet that I see that is negative towards him, there's 1,000 positive, right, in support. So I'm probably blowing this a little out of proportion here, but I just wanted to make it very clear. Like there's laws in place that say it's wrong. Like even common sense tells you it's wrong. It's a little ridiculous here. The last one for the Smash side that I just want to bring up because I think it also kind of brings up to our point last episode talking about like a lot of the Counter-Strike and streamer side where just because someone's accused doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty, right? So Mewtwo King, this was like one from the Melee side. One of the few that I saw from the Melee side was accused. I don't even know how to describe this other than he was accused of spraying his love juice on people as they were sleeping. So there's that. What an accusation.
Beyond that.
What an accusation. So Mewtwo King then came out and he just stated, no, that's not true. And here's why.
I'm just going to get this out of the way. Honestly, I was not prepared for this because I didn't want it to do this. But I feel like I might as well just get it over with. I was circumcised very, very badly as an infant to the point that it's pretty much impossible or extremely, and I mean extremely, difficult to feel pleasure, orgasm, or any of that stuff. And that relates to, if you've followed me over the years, I'm sure you've seen the fair share of posts about my depression and wanting to kill myself, and that was, it's literally like 90% of the reason at least.
So there you go. This accusation that came out that Mewtwo King was going around at LAN parties, jerking off on people as they were sleeping. First off, came from someone like just erroneous on Twitter, as far as I could tell.
It didn't come. I don't believe that came from the victim, like we were discussing, right? So that came from.
I think it came from like a third party saying like, "Oh, I heard Mewtwo King did this." Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like a direct, like he did it to me. It was, oh, I heard he does this, which then forces Mewtwo King, who we've discussed on the show before. The dude is somewhere on the spectrum. He's even admitted to it. He does not handle social cues and social situations very well. Clearly,
he has Asperger's, I believe, right?
Is that what it was? I believe he said it in the documentary. I forget what it
Yeah.
was. But clearly he has issues handling certain situations, and why? I mean, of course, you lay this on top of it, that he's got this going on in the background, that he isn't comfortable talking about it, but pretty much the only way you can prove and clear your name is admitting that, yeah, like, I can't feel anything down there, so no, I didn't do this.
You know, I watched his whole audio clip.
It's like
or
20
video
minutes
clip that
long.
he did. Yeah, I mean, it was quite lengthy, and my heart was breaking for this dude. Like, he has been, I can't imagine, first of all, what he experienced as, like, you know, that's a big part of the experience as a human, right? Sexual interaction. And to not be able to experience it pretty much at all, from what he was saying, is like devastating in its own. And I can see why that would cause somebody to go into depression. Like, guys, as kids, we talk about that type of stuff a lot.
All his
right?
fellow Smash players are sitting here raping other people. He can't even have
Yeah.
consensual sex.
And it's like, it was just heartbreaking to like hear him talk about it. I'm glad that he did, because first of all, if I was one of his friends at a Smash event and I heard somebody poke at that joke, I'd beat the shit out of him, right? Like, hopefully the community has his back now that he's opened up about it, because people can be mean, you know, and that's just the truth. People are like bullies. People will say hurtful things, especially if he's playing a player who has like another big fan following. Like, people could say negative things.
I mean, people threw a crab at Hungry Box.
Yeah, like, I just hope that the community has his back. And like this is an opportunity to do some good if you're the Smash community, that you take this and you support this person, you know what
Mm-hmm.
he's going through. And you're right, like it's one of those things where if you just took it as a blanket statement that again everybody that is accused is 100% guilty, like this would have tarnished him because that's a devastating accusation to make.
And I
That
love
somebody
Mewtwo
is,
King. Love. I mean,
yeah,
I even told you like I want to find the person that upset this man and destroy him. Like
yeah.
you come after Mewtwo King, I feel like you're going after a very large group of population here that just I don't want to say feel bad, but you sympathize with them. You know,
Yeah.
like you said, you watch a statement and you just feel bad for him.
He said he hated streaming because like people would comment on it that some people did know, and
Yeah.
like he hated streaming and all that because of it. Like I hope his stream just takes off. Like I hope this kid is like just. I just
don't
hope he
see
has
how
the support from everybody.
we're discussing putting a man on Mars, and yet we can't fix this problem. That's what I don't get. Like my
Yeah,
new
that
life
sucks.
goal is to help Mewtwo King in that department. Whatever I can do, I'm gonna focus efforts on that because
If you're a
he
Zero
deserves
fan,
it. He
take your
deserves
sub
it.
and move it over.
That's a
to
good
Mewtwo
idea.
King.
Yes, if you're a Zero, a Nero, any of these other pedophile rapists that play Smash, why don't you go to Mewtwo King and help support that?
Yeah.
I think that's a well use of our time and energy. Good thinking. So there's I mean that's pretty much it. Now I say that's it. Like D1 was also involved in this, was shocking to me because he always seemed like such a good dude, but he pretty much raped someone. The names go on and on and on in the Smash community. It's honestly depressing when you look at it because hell, on this show, Anuj, we just like you said, not 2 months ago, we were talking about how infatuated we are with this community and how much we just love the Smash community and how they're just always the underdog of esports. And well, I got news for you, Smash. Nintendo is never going to support you guys now. Kiss that train goodbye.
I mean, Nintendo looks like they made either they knew something because they refused to support that community from day one, or they knew they had a lack of control
Just a
in
good
that
judgment
community,
call
and
on their
maybe
part, I
that's
think.
it. But yeah, like never, there will never be support from Nintendo for the Pro Smash community until like. I mean, I don't know what would have to change for them to be like, okay, we're going to get in and help out. But right now, they're going to stay as far away as they can because Nintendo is tailored towards children gaming.
Yes.
Like, this is even more sensitive
their market.
when it comes to like Nintendo's core market. And so
it is a shame because you think what can be done other than saying it, right? Talk is cheap in my book, especially when it comes to having a safe environment. Because realistically, it's just the reality is these orgs or these tournament organizers can't keep an eye on people the entire time. When you go back to your hotel room, they can't keep an eye on you at after parties or wherever. They can't do that. So when they say, "Oh, we're going to look internally for us and see what we can do to make things better," I don't know. Do you make the tournaments 18 and up? Like, how bad would that hit their player base? I don't know. I have no idea. I would assume a decent amount. Maybe not so much the top, it'd probably be more of the bottom half of the player base that it would hit. You probably wouldn't have as big of entry pools down there, but I don't know.
it's a tough situation because there's also like, fans can be underage.
Yeah.
Right. And be at these events. So there's still like opportunities for predators. Predators find a way.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They hunt.
And that's what some of these are, right? Like the Senpai chick. She was 25 going after she went after a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Like that right there. You think he was the only 14-year-old? And that's the other thing. It's like, you think these guys are the only ones that they did it with? Like, not a chance. Not a chance. I don't believe that for a second either. I have no patience when it comes to pedophiles and grooming and all. I think it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
So
it is.
To me, if I was these tournament organizers, I think I would do that. I think you would have to go in hard and say, okay, it's going to be 18 and up or whatever. Because I don't know what else you would do, considering this seems pretty deep rooted in that scene at the moment, from what we can tell, right? Like, it just seems like a lot of people knew about it. Too many people knew.
It is. Like, I wouldn't even say that's speculation. Like, it's deep rooted within this scene, and the scene needs to be cleaned up. I'm kind of waiting for some of the other names to come out and be a little bit more vocal and take ownership of the scene. I think like a Mango H-Box type combination. Mango has made like a very small statement
Just
on Twitter, not even really much of a statement, just like kind of how he was feeling at the time. H-Box, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, what he's come out and if he said anything. But yeah, I do think that like it would be good for these individuals to kind of take the reins of this scene and try and push it forward.
Yeah, because I know Mango, like you said, he just kind of said like, this is incredibly sad. I'm gonna stay off social media for a little bit, but he didn't really make a definitive statement. H-Box seems to be more like the guy to say something like that.
Yeah.
I was told people were waiting to detail my past actions in the community. No clue. I don't know. That's a video. I'll have to go back and watch it, but nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Some leadership, I guess, has to take some type of responsibility here and just say, okay, this is going to be up to us. Realistically, I mean, it's just going to be up to the Smash community to turn things around because, again, to a lot of people, I think in esports, your image wasn't always that squeaky clean just because you were kind of that weirder bunch of kids at DreamHack, right? You were the weirder kids at MLG. And I think for a lot of people's suspicions now being proven as real, it's kind of like, okay, you're not even starting from square one. You're like at -10 and trying to win us back. So there's that. Now to top all of this off, it even goes past the Smash community and to something I think is even a bigger deal when you're looking at how this affects the FGC outlook in esports. And that's Evo. Yeah. You're looking at, Anuj, what I would always considered the top fighting game event of the year. Like, to me, Evo was the Super Bowl. Like, it was what you would watch if you were an FGC fan. This was on ESPN. This showed up on TV. I think they even showed it on Disney one time. So again, you're gearing this towards children. And you have it where they broke out that the co-founder / CEO at the moment, Joey Kuehler, that's how they'd say that name?
I think so.
Kuehler has been accused, and again, pretty much admitted to past events where he groomed and kind of exploited young men into showing them their penises, taking photographs, jumping into pools naked, things like that. So long, yeah, I guess we'll talk about him first. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, same shit, like different. It's unfortunate because he's such a high profile individual in such an important position, like helping manage one of the largest events of the year. And this guy is an integral part of all the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
It's a devastating blow for Evo. One that I almost don't think that you'll be able to recover from. Like, I really don't think so. We're not seeing Evo obviously this year, right? It's been canceled already.
Yeah, they've canceled Evo Online.
I would not be surprised if we don't see an Evo next year. Like,
I don't, because so here's the thing now. Because I really don't give a shit about the Joey guy, right? Like, he's trash. He's even like vocal on Twitter trying to say it's a smear campaign, but he's admitted to it. But he's also admitting that, like, well, it happened, but it's not as bad as people are making it seem to be. Again, bro, there's really not like a blurry area. There's no gray area in this situation. You either did or you didn't. So, and at this point, you're out. You're done with Evo. They've officially terminated him. So his voice, his opinion is no concern of mine at this point in time.
Yeah.
Like, don't care. What I'm more interested in is Evo, because to me, an esports world, FGC community, which is kind of redundant, I guess, an FGC, a fighting game world where there is no Evo, it is depressing. It is weird to think, because that was such a staple every year. I mean, we've talked about it. When they do the game releases and you realize, oh, Melee's not on it. That's huge, right? That's kind of telling you where everyone's mindset is on what games are going to be the big ones coming up. But I think I agree with you, because you have no online this year. Will 1 year be enough to earn the trust of the community again to go back to you? Because the reason they dropped, and I'll this is my opinion on this one, is not because they were just so heartbroken by the stories being heard. The reason they dropped is because everyone dropped them. There was literally nothing going to be at Evo. So as we've learned in the past, you can't just throw a tournament without like the developers' permissions to do it. Okay? So Capcom, Bandai, so Capcom, obviously Street Fighter, and Marvel versus Capcom. Bandai, which is the Dragon Ball Z fighters, which is what, last year or 2 years ago was the highest entry game.
2 years ago, I think it was like the highest one. Yeah.
Broke every single record Evo had. And then NetherRealm, which of course is Mortal Kombat, have all said they're pulling out of Evo. Now, I don't know off the top of my head if that was just for this. I know NetherRealm specifically said Evo Online. I think Capcom just said Evo. So I don't know what I'm saying is, like, I don't know how much you want to read into it, whether it was just this year or next year. But you got to earn their trust back before they say, as a business decision, okay, we're okay going back to you now. Like, we feel the image has been repaired.
You're going to have to do a lot of transitioning, right? Like, in terms of, I don't think Joey is going to be the only one that you see kind of removed from upper management, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think you're going to have to kind of clean house a little bit here. You have to get a new face of the company. And then the focus doesn't need to be bringing Evo Gaming back. It needs to be, how do you help prepare the community first, and then worry about bringing your tournament back. And if they can show that they can contribute in that way, like maybe next year becomes some sort of charity type event to help victims or whatever, right? Like, you gotta show that you're willing to give back and help your community out in a time of need. It's not something that happens overnight. Like, that's something that I think is going to take time. These developers would like there to be an Evo, ultimately. Like, they would like there to be an Evo. It is a big name in a community that's already suffering enough from getting attention. So they don't want to lose Evo. I don't think the developers want to just see it disappear. I do think they need to do a little like brand repair, and they can come back. I just don't think it's happening like next year either.
Too soon. Soon. I agree with you. I do like the idea, like, if they decide to focus a lot of it on the community aspect and being like, look, we're going to be the ones leading the charge to hear the victims' voices and make sure things are good. But, you did say it. Joey was the face of Evo, though. He was there at all the announcements. He was there on stage. Like, he was the voice and the face of Evo. So to completely remove that and just think, okay, we're good to go, guys. Like, we got out the bad apple. It's not going to be that fast. And even if you want to put it into perspective here, Sonic Fox, to me, the salt of the earth, the most forgiving person throughout all of this Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement and Pride Month. Like, we have said it time and time again. People have said some dumb things, and who's there to support them? Sonic Fox. Sonic Fox is the one who will retweet it saying, you know what? I know him. He's a good person. I don't think he meant to say it with those intentions. Or, guys, let's understand it was a long time ago. Like, Sonic Fox is very forgiving, very opinionated, very vocal, but very forgiving, I think, for everything that he's got going on. And even Sonic Fox, before the brands pulled out, before the developers pulled out, said, I will not be going to EVO. I will not be doing EVO online. Like, you fucked up when Sonic Fox isn't behind you.
You've kind of hit the wall there, right? You like, I mean, again, I just don't think that you talk about the bad apple. Well, generally the apple doesn't fall like too far from the tree, right? So there may be other people that even he's aware of, right? Somebody of his stature probably knows a lot of the head honchos, and maybe he sees them all as like a unified group, or like they're all the same person.
Well, because a lot of this happened at parties, right? So what, do you think Joey was the only exec there at these parties? Like, no.
Yeah, like Joey invited a bunch of players over only. Like that's probably not how that works. So that's why I think it's got to be a kind of more of a house cleaning situation with Evo, then repair, then we worry about the gaming side of it. Ultimately, I think we see Evo in some form, like a year or two from now, because it's that big.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's so shocking, is because they are that big, and this was happening right under their nose, and it was coming from the top. And so you hope they can do it, right? Like, I would love for there to be an Evo in the future, but I'm not going to sit here and be begging for them to be back next year either.
No, I don't want to see them go, but absolutely, I don't want to see them just put a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound and say, okay, guys, we're good to go, right? I kind of want to see them take more of the tempo storm approach, and at this point, it's not even just for them, right? Because with them, you have Evo, right? You have the top of the food chain, but then underneath that, they're going to also have to deal with backlash from the Smash community. If typically, on a normal year, I know the last couple they haven't, but they haven't had Melee there, but typically you have Melee and Ultimate. Well, now that those two scenes are kind of tarnished, like it is a large hurdle to jump.
It's just there's so much there with fighting games right now.
And to be honest, like, I don't think I could stomach it right now. Like, if they continued on, or if there was an Ultimate tournament this weekend, I don't think I could just in good faith watch it, knowing everything that's going on. And it's like, in the back of my brain, I'm like, did you know? Are you part of it? Like, what's going on now when these streams turn off and everyone goes back to their hotel rooms? Like, is everyone safe right now, or is there something going on? Like, it's... And honestly,
this is like a time for a lot of self-reflection for a lot of these people. And it's going to be a time thing here. Like, you don't forget these stories. Like, they've been so graphic, and it's just like, it feels a little different. Like, it feels a little different compared to some of the other accusations that we've seen. And so they all suck. It's just this feels different because there's so many like children involved.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, 100%. The other conversations we've had on it and everything, it was much easier to kind of discuss and have a conclusion. This is just kind of like, you just don't even know. Like, I don't even know what to say at most of the time. This is the whole reason, like, during the documentary, when we were like, there's not a chance in hell I'm going to let my kid go from New York to California and stay at some dude's house to play. We joked about it when we talked about the documentary. It's not that funny now, because it probably, like...
In fact, go cut that audio out right now. I mean, but that's exactly why we said it, because we know there's some effed up people in this world, and there's always somebody looking to take advantage. And like those, although more normal in that time frame, that era, right? Like that type of stuff was a little bit more acceptable. Doesn't mean like people have just changed in the past 20 years. No, that stuff was going on. It's just there weren't as many outlets to get information out there. If the news wasn't willing to report your story, nobody was really going to hear your story, And so a different world we live in, unfortunately, the same type of people. And that's exactly why we said what we said about, those types of events taking place, because those players ran it. It was run by kids.
Yeah.
And that's unusual. And, unfortunately, grown-ups haven't proven themselves to really be the most responsible either, obviously, with what we've seen. But somebody does have to take control and really help out the fighting game community as a whole, because it is a complete shit show. You need the strong personalities that are not involved, I think, to step up and be positive voices. And I think that starts again with, for the Smash community, Mango and HBox like have a lot of power here. And I hope, it's hard to ask somebody to do that. But I think it's needed. Like, we need comforting voices, and those people have been staples of the community. There's not many of them, and they're one of the few. So, you hope their name stays clear. It has so far.
Listen, I'm taking a week off of Mango's.
I just want that community to, like, find a way to heal itself, because it's one that you would hate to see just kind of vanish altogether. But right now, there's no time for games. Like, you're right. There's no event could come up in the next few weeks that anybody would feel comfortable discussing without talking about all this other shit that's going on. So,
no, it's yeah, no, and this is one of the reasons too why we're not even doing a Yikes of the Week today. Typically Monday shows we can interject a little fun here and there, but it's just with everything that happened in the last couple of days, we were just like, it's just, we have like a little chat that we throw in news stories throughout the week, and this was it. Everything we posted for what was happening was related towards this stuff, and we were just like, it just doesn't really feel right to distract from the bigger issue.
I was kind of hoping, after last episode being the mid-year review, that like maybe, just maybe, Tim, we would like turn a page, and like the second half of this story would be beautiful to kind of wrap up the year, and we would get some positives out of it. It's like gotten significantly worse than the mid-year review.
In
like
4
since
days,
then,
the second half of 2020 has already caught up to the first half. It's incredible. It's incredible.
You're gonna hear it all throughout E News. Like there's gonna be some like terrible stuff we're about to like pass on here in E News, and
but also let that be a lesson, Evo. Let it be a lesson. All right, go ask Hex how it worked out for him. Okay, go ask the Huntsman how it's worked out for them. You don't say no to TCR. You just don't, because once you get the TCR curse on you, it's really hard to get off.
We've seen that this curse can elevate. It can go from like bad to nasty real quick. So.
Yeah, and I would love to control it, but once it's out there, and I have no control. Sometimes you'll lose a tournament. Sometimes you'll get busted for pedophile. I can't help any of that. It's just, it is what it is. It's the TCR curse. Sometimes fighting for justice. Sometimes it's not even a curse. It's a TCR justice curse. So let that be a lesson, Evo. Maybe when you decide to come back, you still have our email. Feel free to invite us back. Maybe we'll go. Maybe we'll not.
Maybe we won't.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, speaking of e-news, let's get into it, because we actually have a packed e-news, again, with just not as much on the show side of it. So for CSGO, you did have some of the Summit 6 finals happen today. Big ended up defeating Vitality 3-2 for the EU side, as EG swept Genji 3-0.
I'm like listening to you, but then all I'm thinking about is how this is like great elevator music.
Isn't it?
It's like really good elevator. I feel very like comforting going into this.
I had to get something. It was just the old bed was like an actual song, so it just kept getting flagged for copyright, and I don't want to be that guy, so I decided to switch it up, and it was just weird not having music. So
this is it.
This is what Google royalty-free music, and this popped up.
For Big, this is actually a big win. It's meaningful for them in that sense to, again, like just getting tournament wins right now. If you're a team not named Astralis or something, like I think that's good for your psyche. For EG, on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, you should have won. So, like NA is still kind of liquid in EG. I expect one of them to win. If they're winning, the right things are happening. If they're not, it's a shitstorm. For Big though, this is good. Like it's a meaningful win. And again, it's just tough for me to like love what's happening right now because of the splits this way. But it is what it is. We're dealing with it.
Yeah, it's tough for me to get excited, to be honest with you.
You know what's
I'm
tough
ready.
for me to get excited about is when my favorite player of all time reports that he has COVID-19. I don't understand, and it's heartbreaking. Get right. Confirmed that he has been diagnosed with COVID-19.
Didn't wear the mask. You know how those Swedes are.
We obviously wish him a speedy TCR recovery. We're rooting for you, buddy. Get better. We love you. Hopefully all is fine, and you come back strong.
And here's the best part. And man, this maybe should be a talking point in itself, especially with last time where we said, oh, that was the other thing too. It's like, don't worry, guys, we'll talk about this Flashpoint and Players Association drama next episode.
We waited.
Yeah, can't really do it. So this is, again, it's going to get pushed to another episode. But the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association is a gift that just keeps on giving, as it has been found out that they are an acting agent.
Reported. So it's not confirmed. Yeah.
Is an acting agent, which raises the issue once again of, it's the magic word in esports, conflict of interest.
COI 19.
I feel like that's a future segment idea coming up. Conflict of interest. So there you go.
Yeah, this obviously could have a really
On
bad
one
luck.
hand, that is an extreme conflict of interest if the Players Association is also acting as a player's agent. But on the other hand, I'd actually be kind of impressed that the Players Association is actually doing something. So, pick your poison.
We asked for more.
we did ask them to do more. I guess they took it and ran with it. In Overwatch, you had the Summer Showdown Finals. The Charge defeated Dragons 4-2 in the Asian Finals. I believe Paris just beat Philadelphia 3-2 for the North American Finals. And with that all being said, Baby Bay has tweeted out hinting, the most lackadaisical tweet ever. Like, I don't really know why he did it, but he was like, GG Paris, this might be my last event for Overwatch. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean it might be? Who does that?
Doc.
Like,
yeah, I don't get it. Like, it was either you're retiring or not. Like, why are you like kind of saying it? That's just,
guys, I'm thinking about it. That's not really how it works.
You know what? If you're playing Overwatch and you're contemplating retirement, can't blame you right now. So maybe it's obviously a tough decision. But damn, that's gonna be another blow.
Another blow. Another hit to the Overwatch side, which, they'll cycle back. Just call me when COVID's done. Then I'll truly judge the Overwatch League. In COD, Activision Blizzard has fired, oh yeah, this is another one, CDL caster Momo, after an internal investigation showed that he had sent text messages to women that weren't up to code.
Yeah, it's weird because we were like just watching him like a week ago. I feel like I've seen him so much because we watched so much Call of Duty. So, get him out. Get him out. Like, just keep weeding him out. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. I'm happy it's not a player. I guess that's a positive that it wasn't a player in the CDL, because that would really start ramping up investigations across the board. I feel like there. But yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's another big name, big personality. And
look, I think you don't see it as many from the players, because even on like the Counter-Strike side, it was the casters, right? You didn't see as many of the players' accusations, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. Yet, right? I guess you always have to finish anything nowadays with yet at the end of it. When in doubt, rely on the buddy system. Okay? If you're going to a Smash event, just get a buddy to hang out with that, won't have sex with you, preferably. But I think that would help. I think that's why with these team things, It's like, no, I'm going to go hang out with my team. You're not worried about picking up chicks or anything because it's like, no, I got my team
You're
here.
gonna start rooming teammates together because you can't do some awkward shit in front of somebody else that you're uncomfortable doing it in front of, you know?
No. So there's that. Go with the buddy system. CDL champs, it was announced officially. It's kind of obvious at this point, but CDL champs will be held online.
I didn't know we were waiting for that announcement.
No, people were kind of, people were like, whoa, I didn't know. Really? You really thought this was going to be held on LAN?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, there was so much talk about people being disappointed in this decision and like, how could Activision not find a way? Like, give me a break. Like, the NBA is having a tough time figuring it out for multi-millionaires with a billion-dollar $1 billion entity, right?
Yeah.
And they're having a tough time doing this. In fact, they're making like players wear rings that have like early detection warnings. Like, they're putting millions into making that work. Activision's the cheapest company anyway, so even if they like had the funds, which they probably do,
If
it
they
doesn't
could
seem
make
like
a
a
skin
safe
out of
bet.
it
Like,
and sell it, then they could figure it out.
it just doesn't seem worth it. And so
That's what it
for
is.
anybody that's sorry,
That's what it is. It's just not worth it for them.
yeah,
Like, it's
like
because seriously, yeah, you're right. People are like, well, it's a LAN. Well, yeah, I guess you could have a LAN where all the players are sitting 6 feet apart and it's not a big deal and whatever. But it's not worth having them all go through the travel, and then you're in a hotel room, and then you're going out to get food. It's like, it's just, at the end of the day, stop being an idiot. It's not worth it. If the
like
government
you couldn't
can't,
set up LAN rooms and things like that. Like, you couldn't do that for practice areas,
Yeah.
right? Because then all your practice areas have to be 6 feet apart. Well, a lot of times they're set up like in hotel suites and stuff like that. Like, it's just such a nightmare to be like, let's figure this out. This whole season is going to just be known as an online
Yeah.
season anyway. Let it finish out that way. It's okay. Like,
And that's why
It's a
people are like,
smart
well, they
thing
just
to
need
do.
they need to cancel it. Just cancel it. You can't do champs online. 3/4 of the season has been online. What are you talking about? Like, CDL has been like kind of the only thing this whole that's been operating as normal, in my opinion. Like, it's whatever. Like, it's just gonna have an asterisk. Like you said, Anu, not a big deal. We'll move on. Speaking of moving on, Blizzard is doing what they can to heal the community by removing the OK hand gesture from the game.
I'm surprised they didn't remove it earlier. It was out of the Overwatch game forever, like ago. Remember, that was a whole
Yeah.
big thing for the Overwatch game. So it's not surprising. Like, okay, it has a connotation in some walks of life where I think it's a racist symbol.
So
What is
white-
it again?
Yeah, so it started on 4chan as a prank. That's the issue, is that it's all started as a prank for white power, because the OK symbol, if you look, Anuj,
Oh,
as I'm doing it on stream, so we'll probably get banned on Twitch here in like 20 seconds, but it's a W and a P.
okay.
White power.
Well,
4chan
sure.
this is the issue. 4chan started as a joke, but then actual white supremacists kind of picked it up and said, hey, that's actually kind of a cool idea. So
We're gonna go ahead and claim this. Yeah,
part of the
again,
issue.
not overly surprising. Again, it's been banned out of Overwatch's game, and this is all same area.
is it
so,
silly? Yes.
Sure.
Is it surprising? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then you have CDL New York coming up this weekend. where you
Atlanta, Chicago. There, that's at least 2 out of the big 4. It's unfortunate we're not going to see Florida get a chance to three-peat yet.
I think they're off for like a month.
Yeah,
They
they
have a
have some
long
time
stretch.
off, but they deserve it. Dallas won't be there. New York, I think, to me, is the team that I'm most excited to just kind of keep my eyes on. This is their home weekend event. They've been getting better, so this will be nice to see if they can get a top 2 finish here and finish ahead of Chicago. Chicago, to me, is not a team that's guaranteed to just be in the finals with Atlanta. Atlanta, I think, is the proven entity here where we expect to see them in the finals. Their competition, however, that's up for debate because Chicago has played really poorly. Even with the addition of Pristini, it hasn't gone as planned. So I'm curious to see who takes the reins here. I would love for it to be New York, but we'll see what happens.
I would like for New York, just because we've been hearing it now for 3 or
Couple
4
weeks.
events that
Yeah.
there was like they've made a turnaround and they just haven't seen it yet. So I would like to see New York kind of live up to that expectation of not only the fans but their fellow players, right? All the players think that they're
They're
good.
getting a little further, like advancing out of the stage areas and getting into like the playoff part of it. But now you want to take that next step
Send
and
it
like let's
home.
get into the finals.
Send it home. In
Yeah.
Battle Royale news, TSM Entity ended up winning the PUBG Mobile Champions in India. We don't care about it, but let me tell you who does. India. Because India love themselves some PUBG Mobile. So I'm sure that's huge.
I'm sure it is.
Nothing. Nothing there. I just wanted to bring it up. And we both got access to Hyperscape, and we both texted each other saying, I got in. Yeah, so did I. Let's go play WoW. Like, I have no interest.
I gotta tell you something funny about this. I, honest to God, watched maybe 3 to 5 minutes of a random stream. I think it may have been Tifu's, whoever was like on the front page playing Hyperscape. I think it was Tifu. I maybe watched 5 minutes of it. I didn't realize I had gotten in until I got the email notification saying you had something in your account. I checked like a day later. Look, it might be okay, but I didn't see. And did you see anything special that like stood out to you that made you want to go play?
Again, I think the whole thing it's got going for it through Twitch is like how you can interact, like the viewers can change like the gravity and stuff. I think it's a shtick. I think it's a bit. I don't think it's gonna last. You know, I think that might actually end up annoying some of the bigger streamers. Like if you're a smaller streamer and you like that interaction, that's fine. But like Doc, if he ever streams ever again, I can tell you will not like it. Shroud would find it amusing for an hour and being like, I just want to kill people. Like,
yeah, no, it's like it just seems blah. Like it's nothing special.
it seems like another BR.
Graphically, it looked okay. Like gameplay looked okay. It did feel a little arena shooterish.
Yeah.
Watching like some
A lot
of the
of jumps.
gunfights,
It seems very
but
fast. It's just another BR.
I was hoping for a Rainbow Six Siege style BR. Honestly,
Yeah.
like
It's
that-
definitely not that.
no, it's not. You know, and so. Look, I heard, when I heard it was on the Rainbow Six engine, that's kind of what I thought of. And I was like, okay, like maybe they make it a little bit more tactical of a BR and you can bunker yourself in with abilities and things like that if you wanted to and, gameplay that way. It's like not that. It just doesn't excite me.
No.
I just don't think I'll be jumping in.
Speaking of Rainbow, Pangu for G2 has said that he is considering retiring after this season of Siege. A big hit for the Rainbow side, right? As far as he's a very well-known player. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Siege is still going strong. I feel like they've kind of taken a backseat with the COVID in the sense of like the only time they really hit big were their big LAN finals and things like that. But
yeah, for G2, like they haven't been as great this past season or past year anyway.
That
So
doesn't
it's
help.
like he's also an older player. I think the Siege group will be fine though. Either way, like they have enough young talent there, and
Yep.
people are still interested to where it would suck. Huge name, huge personality, but maybe he'll stay involved in like a different area, casting or.
yeah, and he said too, it's like it will not even retire to go play Valorant. He just said to go do full-time streaming. So on the bright side, at least he's not retiring. If you're a fan, right? He's not retiring because he found a new side piece. He's hit that time in life.
Yep.
He's ready to just hang him up. If the FGC didn't have a shitty enough week, Knuckledoo was involved in a pretty serious car crash, I believe, while on Uber. Like, I don't think he was driving. It involved Uber. I know that.
That was like the best news of the week for the Smash community.
Just for the FGC.
Yeah.
Smash and specifically. But yeah, no, that's, yeah, but apparently he's expected to make a full recovery. Apparently it was bad. It will be a long recovery, but
that sucks, dude. You just hate to see it, and you're just glad he's alive, right? Like that just would have been as bad as it just seemed like it could have been worse. So we're glad he's alive, and we wish him a healthy recovery, obviously.
Yep. And A few other items to get to here. Gears have also announced that their season finals will also be held online. Of course, a very obvious statement at this point, but I guess you got to announce it. Do you have a FaZe and Tfue update?
Yeah, like all their stuff, all their like counterclaims and all that they made were like dismissed. So it was worse for FaZe, but this is still going to be an ongoing legal battle. Like it's not, there was no final resolution here. It wasn't a jury trial, like it was a judge decision that FaZe wanted. But a lot of their like counter claims and all that were all denied. So it's going to be an ongoing legal battle there.
Fun stuff. This is also not necessarily esports news, but it directs us all as gamers that it's rumored with the next gen games coming out. What was the first one? 2K, NBA 2K 21. Games are going to be $70 now. Right now, the norm is $60. Now they want to bump them up to $70.
It just means I have to wait an extra week before they're on sale.
I mean, I can't tell you the last time I paid $60 for a game anyways. I'm definitely not spending $70 for a game.
Out of your damn mind if you think I'm going to pay $70 for a video game.
$70 is $30 away from $100. And that's, in my mind, seems like a lot of money.
So I'll tell you where I would have been okay with cost increase is if we never had any sort of expansions or there's no in-game purchases, right?
Yeah.
Take those out. Okay, and if you need to make your game a little bit more expensive to make up for some of that bottom line, I kind of understand that logic.
Yeah.
But you're already nickel and diming us throughout the whole freaking experience of a video game to actually fully enjoy a game, and then you're going to increase the price? Like, F off, dude. Like, I'm not spending
$70 and then $30 2 weeks later for your character pack? Like, what?
Yeah,
like,
give me a break. Not happening.
Like, Mortal Kombat already bankrupts me enough by spending money on all the new characters. Now you want me to spend $70 up front? No, I'm okay. I'll wait for the Steam sale. Thank you. Thank you, though. So there's that. I remember when games jumped to $60, and I thought that was asinine. And that's when we worked at Circuit City together. Yeah. I remember because it was like...
That's when we had to start stealing them.
That's when I was like, oh, I guess I'll go to PC.
Well...
I guess I'll go to PC games where they're on sale all the time.
Figure out how to bootleg.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also a popular thing. Sims was very easy to bootleg. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Save up, kids, if you want to spend $70. If not, just be cool like us and play Counter-Strike for 20 years. Get your money's worth.
Done.
One last news item here to get to, and it's not a happy one by any means, but popular streamer, especially for WoW, former #1 arena player, Wreckful, ended up passing away over the weekend, age of 31, by reported suicide. Of course, we always say this. Anytime this happens, it's generic, but it's true. If you're going through shit, I promise you, we all are. Our DMs, the show, our personal DMs are always open. If you want to talk about anything, even if you don't want to talk about it and you just want to get it out there, just let me know. Say, hey, I don't want to talk about it, but I just want to I'm going through some shit. Like, I will spend as much time as you need.
Yeah, this one, it's unfortunate because he'd obviously been dealing with depression for a long time. It wasn't his first attempt at suicide, and I read his roommate's post today, and it was just heartbreaking. It's just really sad. I mean, it's just really sad because it seems like we unfortunately did not have the opportunity of knowing him, but it seems like he was loved by a lot of people, and a lot of people cared for him. And I know there's a lot of reports out there of like, why didn't his friends step in? And after reading like his roommate's letter to him, like it was really heartbreaking to see what he was going through and couldn't get the help that he needed to try and recover from this disease, right? Which is depression. And I think his brother also committed suicide. So God bless his parents, man. Like I can't even imagine what his family is going through. the beautiful thing that came out of this was seeing how the WoW community banded together, Tim. There was like a lot of in-game memorials in major cities showing their respect. Asmongold, as odd of it a guy as Asmongold is, he's
Yeah.
genuinely, it's a stream personality like Doc with him. It really is, because he does a lot of one-off kind of videos talking about a lot of the controversial stuff. And now including, Reckful's passing. And it was great to see him also band his whole community behind him. But all the stories that have come out, you hate to see shit like this, like, stay strong, rest in peace. And if anybody needs help, like, just know, like, if you don't want to reach out to us, like, reach out to someone.
Yeah.
Talk to someone, because I promise you, there are a lot more people out there that care about you, that want to see you safe and happy and healthy, that more than so even if you think you're alone, you're never really alone. You just got to trust us on that. You just got to talk to somebody. Again, if you want it to be us, we'll talk to you for days.
Yep. Judgment free zone in the nicest
100%.
way possible. I don't give a shit about your problem. Like, you could just talk to us. Right? I'm not going to sit here and judge whatever's going on, right? We've all had bad days. We've all had good days. I think
we care about you.
Yeah.
And that's the important
exactly.
thing. And so if you need someone to talk to, just reach out to somebody, because stories like this, along with everything else that's going on, truly heartbreaking.
Look,
so
this year sucked.
Condolences to him and his family.
This year has sucked.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it's going to go up. It's going to get better, folks. Promise you. We're going to get back to normal. Going to get back to some good old-fashioned LAN esports here eventually, soon enough. Things will settle down. So there's that. I will say, Anuj, if I ever pass away and there's a WoW memorial for me, I want the old school WoW funeral treatment.
The ganking?
The ganking. I want war mode on. You can have your moment of silence, and then I want all-out war at my
Everybody
funeral.
just duke it out.
Yeah,
no, it was cool. You saw some of the pictures, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's
I said,
like a really...
the whole time in the back of my head, I'm thinking, just turn war mode on. I just need one
That's
of
why
you.
they're in major cities, Tim. Can't fight in major cities.
Just turn one
like that.
war mode on. Let's do this old school. It's what he would have wanted. It's what he would have wanted. It's just to have a giant fight in the middle of Stormwind. But no, it's pretty cool. It's also crazy, like, when you think of, for a game like WoW, where it's been around for so long, like, how many people he personally has affected, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's people from 10 years ago you're seeing. Like, it's not just a new age crowd or the old school crew. Like, he went from being the #1 arena player to a huge popular streamer.
Yeah, and
so a lot of people devastated by his loss.
Yep. So stay hard, Reckful. And, again, it's shit. But if you got anything to talk about, let us know. There's that. There is episode 251 of The Center Ring. That'll do it. If you listen to the whole thing, thank you. If you skipped around, love you all the same. Thank you to Alt for sponsoring the show. We will be back on Wednesday, possibly with a pre-recorded episode, unless something crazy happens, and then we'll do it live. But we have one in the can for this exact situation. So
it's a good one though. This is it's huge guest on this episode.
I promise you, because it's when Anuj was out, so I reached into my phone book to pull out some names here. No other esport podcast could do what we did with this episode that we're releasing later in the week.
That's actually a guarantee.
I joke around a lot, but that's no joke. No other esports podcast can do what we do. So there's that.
Professional sports, professional esports, professional company, man. All in one show.
If I can be selfish, esports community, please do not sexually assault anyone so we don't have to talk about it. I just want to talk esports. I'd appreciate it. For Nuge, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.